everyone, welcome to another episode from AmPro Engineering. In this episode, we are going to use these pieces here, which at first glance make no sense at all, and assemble these on my Trailfinder 2 and make it so that we never have to unscrew the body again. Before we do that, we're going to break all of these apart by snipping the sprues. These are some pretty beefy parts in here, so it is unnecessary to order separate pieces. You just place one order and all 4 pieces come together. We're going to paint these black and we'll be right back. Everything has been painted. I painted this in this low gloss black that I really enjoy using. I also took the liberty to drill out all the holes because usually they're full of powder from the 3D printing process. These must be drilled out with a 2.5 millimeter drill bit, no larger. And then I went ahead and tapped them with an M3 tap on a little thumb tap over here. This way I can use a machine screw. If you want to use a self-tapping screw, then you can drill these out to a 2.7 or equivalent imperial size drill bit. I did that to these as well. These are the pieces that go on the body, but first we'll start on the chassis. And unfortunately, you will need to disassemble the truck quite heavily because you need to get the radio tray out of the way. Once it is disassembled, however, you are all set, and they will go in this orientation here where the standard body mounts used to go. I've also decided to use these fairly long M3 screws because what's going to happen is once it's installed, the M3 will provide some of the shear strength when this is installed. Also, the longer that the screw is, the more teeth it has to bite. And you don't want to over torque these. In fact, I may get an even longer M3 screw to go as far in as I possibly can. What you do not want is anything to protrude on this end, nor do you want anything to stick out on this side of the body. Now, seeing as I did tap these, I'm going to start them with my fingers because I want to make sure that I don't cross thread anything. And then go ahead and screw them on in. Also wanted to note that this transfer case mount has to be mounted to one of the screw holes that holds in the outer mount. So what I'm going to do, and this is my recommendation, but you may do whatever you want, however I feel this is going to work, I'm going to drill out this hole here because currently it is a threaded hole. I will keep this one threaded, but I do not want that threaded, as now what is going to hold this in place through this hole is the threads on this mount. So I'm going to drill this out and leave the threaded hole on the front one. If you do this, make sure that you're drilling out the correct one, as you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you've drilled out the incorrect one and now have to use a nut on it. Okay, once you've drilled this out and thoroughly reduced the resale value of your Trailfinder 2, go ahead and install this, and then we can put the back screw on. Once the transfer case is installed with that one screw, go ahead and slide the body mount up, and then we'll pass the other M3 screw from this side through the opened up transfer case hole, and then just go ahead and thread that in, and that'll be the other mounting point of the transfer case. Now that the chassis components are installed, we'll go ahead and install the body pieces. The way you're going to do this is this peg here is always toward the front of the body, will reside just like that, and the same is true for the top ones. Flip it over like so. Okay, and we'll thread it on. When it's installed, you should be left with this. Now there is a finger here on the back of this body mount, and the finger is to ensure that any load applied to this gets reapplied back to the body. I've only been able to test fit these on my vehicles, which is my Trailfinder 2 body here, my HGP 407, and my Tamiya Bruiser. But if there are any anomalies out there, unfortunately I have no access to those, so you may have to trim them down a bit, or you may have to shim them. So the basic premise of installing the body is these round pegs with the chamfer drop into these round holes on these extension pieces. You'll slide it backwards. There's chamfers here and here to help to enable the engagement of the top mount to the bottom mount, and then you're going to have to slot the rear body mounts in here. It will hinge slightly. They should allow up to 5 degrees of angle, which is more than enough, which means you may need to trim down your rear body mounts. In fact, I very much recommend metal rear body mounts trim down as much as possible to mitigate how much these things are bending. So we'll push those in. It helps when your servo isn't jammed in here, by the way. That's the problem I have with not reassembling a car. Okay, now it should work. As you can see, I've reassembled the truck a little bit here because it was too much stuff laying around which could get caught between the body and the chassis mounts. So now that it's back together, we're going to give this a go. So we're just going to drop it straight on in here. And I'm cheating a little bit. I can't see the body mounts through the windshield. But to be honest, if you do have an interior, you'll very quickly become accustomed to where the body would normally land. So it'll pop right in there. And at this point here, we're going to push it straight back. Unfortunately, the body mounts are way too tall on this truck. And we're going to have to push these. There they are. And they're going to go in. There we are. And there we have it. Because the body mounts are so tall, I unfortunately have to cock the body up very, very high, which makes the front of the frame rails get caught. I'll show you exactly what's going on. They get stuck right in there from the screw that holds the bumper on, and it's simply a result of the rear body mounts being too tall. And I haven't cut them because I have metal ones coming in, and I plan on using these plastic ones elsewhere. So that is a little issue that I'm having simply because I'm using the wrong parts, but nevertheless it will just drop right on. And the question of, is it gonna, how strong is the body? I think it's on there. And the cool thing too is you get a floor. So that's kind of neat. It does wrap around the door very closely and will give you a more scale appearance of the undercarriage. Of course, you do have this massive hole here, but if you do have some of the RC four-wheel drive fenders that'll go in here, this should help tidy up the car's underbelly. Of course, when your battery is all done, we'll just pull the body pins out the rear, lift it up, push it on forward, and there you go. I installed the correct rear body mounts because I figured it's probably a good idea to show you how it's supposed to work. And on top of that, I did one additional thing, is I put in the standard interior. So you can see that there is no issue with clearance, and I just wanted to make that very apparent. Okay, so we'll drop it directly on top of the front body mounts, push the back down, push it rearward, and I'll show you at the back. The body mounts will just pop straight in, and there you have it. Removal again is the opposite. Lift the body mounts up at the back, push this forward, lift it up, and you are good to go. Remember that this body mount set requires no front bumper. And if you do have a front bumper on your Hilux, there's another version of these mounts that's going to be a little more straightforward and standard, where they'll just drop in and out. But you are going to have a body post protruding from the floor pan, which I was trying to get away with these. And, to be honest, is that really that important to you? If you're a hardcore scaler, then yeah, and if not, then you're probably not going to care about this design. You'd prefer the other version as well. I am going to also make a variant that doesn't have the detailed floor area. It's just a couple of posts, because these are pretty expensive due to the fact that the material is very, very thick and very, very strong on the entire floor pan, and that's potentially an area where you don't really care about. So again, we'll lift, slide, remove, plop, straight down, push back, right at the rear body mounts, you're good to go. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm very happy to finally have sorted these front body mounts because they've always bothered me. Links are in the description, and please email me if you have any questions about this suspension. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I have some more upgrades for the Trailfinder 2 coming soon. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.